Good evening, councillors. Can I ask you to take your seat, please? Well, good evening and welcome members, officers, and those members of the public here at the meeting and those joining us virtually. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence. Tom. Kirsty.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies from Councillor Lauren Bright, Councillor Annie Brenton, Councillor David Brenton, Councillor Simon Newton, and Councillor Hugh Thomas.
Okay, item 2, public contributions. We've got 4 public speakers this evening. The first one is Mr. John Lewis, who I'll now invite to come up to the front. Mr. Lewis, is he not here?
He's not here.
Not here? Okay. Mr. Mike here? Public speakers get 3 minutes from the time they start to speak, Mike. So if you take the mic just behind you there.
Okay. Very good.
So your 3 minutes will start when you start speaking.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Now, my name is Mike Tier, and I'm the chair of Way of the Wharves, local charity. 2 weeks ago, heritage organisations along the Torridge got together to discuss their common interests. And the meeting really came about because of the publicity surrounding Levelling Up and funds and discussions with Geoffrey Cox MP. But it quickly became apparent that whether there was any Levelling Up funds or not, we had more to gain by being together in that group. It now represents 10 local charities and community interest companies, and that's over 2,000 members. And of those 2,000 members and supporters, 200 are volunteers. These are the people who are chipping the paint and putting on paint on carriages and welcoming people into the Burton Gallery or onto SS Fresh Spring. All of those people who are really, really doing the work. And the first thing that we all agreed we can come together on is the application for Heritage Harbour status. And that's been led by Way of the Wharves, but it's not just us that's doing it. Heritage Harbours are a joint initiative from the Maritime Heritage Trust and National Historic Ships. And there's currently 10 in the country, 3 inland ports on canals and 7 ports, the closest to us being Exeter. And I was at the Maritime Festival in Exeter last weekend. And I watched Britannia, a 108-year-old fishing boat that was restored in Winkley, being put into the water in Exeter. Why in Exeter? Because Exeter were desperate to get some heritage ships in their harbour. There's no application or ongoing fee for Heritage Harbour status, but there are certain obligations. Researching and publishing about the heritage significance of the port, publishing an asset register of historic buildings and vessels, identifying skills that are used for the upkeep of heritage, identifying stakeholders, speaking, and I quote, from local community and or council meetings, tick, establish a website, and all the other things that go with it. But the Way of the Wharves project and its work on the history of the wharves that east the water is the proven model for Heritage Harbour.
Nearly there, Mr. Deere, please.
Okay, thank you. So the vision is to create a partnership organisation that can pull together common message and promote the range of maritime and industrial heritage attractions along the estuary, from Appledore all the way to Torrington, the end of the Liquid Highway at the end of the Royal Canal. And I urge you, please, to support Heritage Harbour, whether that be just supporting it, but also obviously through funding and support for the many volunteers that pull this sort of thing together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's very generous with you there.
Thank you.
So our next speaker is John Puddy.
Thank you very much.
You know the score, don't you? It's 3 minutes, John, from when you start speaking.
No shouting, no swearing, and no abuse.
Certainly no abuse anyway.
Well, thank you very much for letting me speak to you this evening. My name's John Puddy, and I'm the chair of the Steamship Freshspring Trust. Our heritage ship, thanks to the support of Torridge District Council, has been here since 2016, supporting some 50 volunteers. The Freshspring Trust has been successful in our district, supporting the education of young people and enhancing tourism. However, it has been expected to pay for commercial berthing and access charges for its nationally recognised ship, a situation which is very difficult to sustain. The potential now of Kathleen and May and other heritage vessels being based in Bideford is becoming more of a reality. And it's important that TDC recognises the impact and the potential for a heritage fleet is appreciated and supported, particularly within its strategic plan. It's not possible to contemplate bringing other ships to Bideford if concessions and support is not available from our council. A decision must be made to either embrace the opportunity that heritage tourism could bring, as other areas have done, or possibly losing heritage ships for good. Our deprived area status is unfortunate, but provides opportunities for levelling up funding and other funding sources, which with a visionary council and a connected community, we should do all we can to access. The strategic plan should reflect the importance of heritage and heritage tourism in creating high quality all year round tourism. The River Torridge Heritage Group, which Mike has mentioned, is embracing most local heritage organisations, both maritime and terrestrial, who all have an aim to become stakeholders in supporting any application for funding that Torridge District Council believes will support the 4 metrics within the proposed levelling up funding, or indeed any other application which elevates our important and valuable local heritage. Our aim is not to compete, but to fully support our progressive local authority in its vision for the future, to include business opportunities, skills retention, and valuable high-quality heritage tourism. I urge councillors, when determining the strategic plan, to think positively of the future of our district and to embrace the vision of a heritage port, heritage interpretation, heritage tourism, retention of skills, and to embrace a future with heritage ships in our harbour. Thank you very much.
Oh, spot on. Thank you, John. Exactly the same time as the previous speaker. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got Tim Steer next. Would you like to come up?
Thank you, Chair. My name is Tim Steer. I'm the Vice Chair of the Tarka Rail Association and also one of the directors of Bideford Railway Heritage Centre. Many members will recall the presentation which I gave to full council last April and the update report on the Joint Planning Policy Committee last July. That joint meeting highlighted resolutions of both North Devon and Torridge District Councils, and it recommended that the joint committee required officers to ensure that consideration of including a new rail link between Bideford and Barnstable to be explored and embedded within the work programme, the new local plan project. Since then, an independent specialist transport advisor has been commissioned and completed an initial business case report, which is then being considered by its client body, the Tarka Rail Association, and a published summary of which was reported to Bideford Town Council in the company of Sir Geoffrey Cox KC on Thursday, the 3rd of August. It is recognised that no more than 700 metres of a new rail link between Bideford and Barnstable would be physically in the greater Bideford area and Torridge district. Nevertheless, district boundary proximities play little in why railways are reinstated. Railways are now restored to serve communities in districts and large conurbations. Just look at the district of West Devon. In 2021, they had the UK's first restored railway service, naming it the Dartmoor line to Oakhampton. The line has now received levelling up funding for a second parkway nearer to the district of Mid Devon, and now a business case has been presented to the Department for Transport to reinstate Tavistock to Fair Alston, a line nearer to Cornwall. The Bideford Railway Heritage Centre has ambitions to play its part in the new Levelling Up partnership by seeking to support and develop a project that at the time will expand its visitor offer and physically expand its operations into an initial step to protect the site for a future modern rail link towards Barnstable. In that respect, the project would aim to align with our economy and our environment, our future themes in the strategic plan, and so far as possible, at least some of the 4 key levelling up criteria and some of the 12 missions set out by the government's Levelling Up white paper in February last year. Tarka Rail Association and Bideford Railway Heritage Centre look forward to collaborating and support the new strategic plan and in the new Levelling Up partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Under time as well.
Thank you.
Okay, item 3 on your agenda is declarations of interest. Members with an interest to declare should refer to the agenda item and describe the nature of their interest when the item being discussed. Item 4, agreement of agenda items part 1 and 2 are no part 2 items this evening. Agenda item 5 to consider correspondence or other business brought forward by the chair. I have nothing specifically. Anything else?
Nothing, Chair.
Yes. So moving on then to item 6, the Torres Strategic Plan 23 to 28, which is pages 3 to 10. And your pack to receive the report of the leader of the council and the chief executive.
Thanks, Chair. I'm going to start. Just go a quick, brief introduction. John Walter's then going to run through a little bit of where we come from, what we're doing, and where we go next. Obviously, assuming you approve the draft plan this evening, and then we'll hand over to the leader of the council, Councillor Ken James, to wrap up the discussions. Obviously, it's quite a short report, but a significant piece of work and a significant step forward for this new council. Obviously, being elected back in May of this year, so within just under 5 months, you've already got and set out your draft ambitions for the next 3.5 years, I guess, till May 27. Although the plan, as you'll see, goes on until 2028. So that'll give, I said, 3.5 years to get those plans in place, start implementing your vision, your ambitions for the council. I guess it's really a good achievement and really good to see so many councillors at the workshop. Back earlier in the year, 30 members attended that workshop, and all our lead members have been involved in the process after that. I'm looking at John, I've obviously just told some of the what I was going to say, so I've got to be quick and quiet. So it illustrates how important a step it is and how important it is to all our members to get this up and running. So I'll hand over to John before I steal any more of his words. Thanks.
Good evening, councillors. Just going to give you a little bit of background of how we got to where we are today, and then kind of the process for going forward. Should you approve the documentation of the draft scrap plan for consultation? So on the 31st of July, full council agreed the timetable for the new strat plan. And that included a workshop on the 14th of August that Steve mentioned, which was a really good turnout. It's one of the best we've had, if not the best, with 30 councillors attending that. That gave all those 30 councillors the opportunity to feed in to the building up of the strategic plan, looking at local priorities. Following that workshop, the leader and myself have met with all the group leaders. No, we didn't. Sorry about that. We met with all the leader members of the relevant themes for the strategic plan. And we went through all of the information that was captured on the workshop. Steve, Stacey, Sean, and other senior officers also attended those meetings. But it was the leader and myself, we attended all four, just so that there's some clarity and continuity when we were discussing the relevant information from the themes. So following those meetings, a draft was put together, which is on your agenda now. That's in front of you for adoption to go out for consultation. What we've also got on your full council report is a comment from each of those lead members. So we've got 11 quotes on there from the lead members who were involved following the workshop. So at the workshop we had 30, then we have all the lead members at the themed meetings. So today we're looking at the adoption of the draft for consultation. So if approved tonight, we've got the comms team ready to go out to consultation. They will contact all the parish and town councils, all our partners. They've drafted a website. They're ready for the social media comms. They're going to go out in the local press as well for those that aren't online. So we're kind of ready to go, provided it's adopted. We'll have 6 weeks consultation, and then once those responses are back, we'll look to collate those and bring back to a full council report on the 11th of December. We hope then to be in a position for you to adopt your new strategic plan on that day. From that period, your officers then will look to put your priorities and your actions into the business planning process and link to the budget process as well. So that's what will happen between the 11th of December and the 31st of March. And then from the 1st of April, all of those new actions will be aligned to your QBR, which is reported to internal scrutiny, is monitored, the actions are monitored, and they're also sent to all councillors. So that should then hopefully complete the loop, and then we'll be able to monitor and keep an eye on all the actions that members have classed as their priorities going forward. So that's kind of in a nutshell where we'll be going. Just hand over to the leader, Councillor James, just to finish off this bit for you.
Thank you, John. First of all, I must thank John because he's done a tremendous amount of work. And even last week, we had one meeting in the morning, he got the information out in the afternoon. I'd also like to point out that somewhere along the line, I was quoted in the paper this morning about last night's meeting. I think the enthusiasm got the better of some of our officers, but I think it indicates how important it is. I'd like to thank all the members that turned up to the workshop. You know, we used to say that if we got 13, we weren't doing bad. We had 30. That's really good. And also to all the lead members that came to the smaller sessions where we went through what affected their department, what they were the lead member for. So it's gone very well. I'm very proud of you all, really. My contribution was mostly to sit there and listen. So the lead members and the rest of you have all done the work. I think, as John said, we want to get it out to consultation. And I think the thing about it is it does set the strategic plan for our coming 3.5 years. And there's a lot we want to achieve. There's a lot we can achieve. There's a lot we should achieve. But on behalf of our members, you know, that's what we're here for, is to provide a better environment in all descriptions of that word for our members, for our community. And also, I think when Steve and I meet with the, that's assuming that it goes ahead, the meeting with the minister that's dealing with the levelling up, that we can actually say we have a plan. We have the support of all our members, and that's important, that we show that we are a council going somewhere and achieving a lot. And I think that's been one of my slight issues in some places, where perhaps not everybody's aspirations is quite as high level as what ours are. So I'll just thank you all and propose that we do accept the recommendation, which is that the goes out for consultation. So thank you very much.
Councillor Haynes.
Thank you, Chair. I know this has all been through the filtering process with lead members, etc. And we've all put in our ideas, and this is the proposed final document. But under the environment, our future, we've got the wording promote carbon reduction and energy efficiency across the existing council asset base. Well, if we're really serious as a council to achieve net zero by 2030, I suggest, or I propose, that we substitute the word achieve carbon reduction instead of promote carbon reduction. That is a much stronger word, and then signifies to the public as we go to consultation that we are serious. So that's my proposal. I seek a second.
Right, thank you, Peter. I think the aim of the consultation is that everybody will be able to actually, you know, come back with what they want, and if there is a stronger need to emphasise something, then that will come out in the constitution, in the consultation. Sorry. So yeah,
Well, this
I
is,
don't.
this is
What you shouldn't be doing is to preempt the consultation before we get to it. So this is what we've assessed, and you were in the meetings as well. So I think let's get the consultation out and then get the reports back, and you can report that as well.
And this is a draft document as well, isn't it?
Sorry,
That's
Mr. Council declared a climate emergency, so we need to be serious about it. And I can't remember what I suggested this at the lead member meeting or not, but I'm suggesting it now. I mean, it's just a significant small change in wording then, you know, which signifies our seriousness.
Councillor Grady.
Yeah, I'd like to second Councillor Haynes's motion, and I myself, we also feel that I'm not prepared to vote for this draft proposal without the inclusion of social housing in the housing ordinance, because it does not specify what range of things that we're looking to see. And I think that it's important that we include not just affordable housing and other things, that we include social housing, because that's the single most important thing to a functioning housing market. We don't allow people to have their comment on social housing, we won't be getting a complete picture of what our district needs.
Who's going to respond to that one?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, when we discussed this as the group, and it was the deputy leader, I think she's aching to answer as well. But we said this would all be incorporated under a new housing strategy. So instead of going into the kind of minutiae, the housing strategy will have lots of different strands. And we said actually those type of things will be covered when we go out to consultation for that and the implementation of a housing strategy. Is that fair?
Yes, I think that's really fair. I have fought hard for, well, I haven't had to fight. represented you all that we needed a robust housing strategy. And that document would actually encompass all aspects of provision. And social housing is one that has been raised at every opportunity. So of course it will be included in that. And that's the time for us to accept the housing strategy, which will deliver. We can't go into every aspect of how we're going to achieve better opportunities to house our communities in this corporate strategy. This is an overarching one, and feeding into it will be much more detailed strategies. So I share your issues and I understand them, Councillor Craigie, but please be assured that that will be dealt with within that housing strategy. And it's not in the distant future. This is something we will be working on very soon.
Councillor Craig, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that the finer detail will be in the strategy, but I am insisting that social housing be included in the options. And all it requires is on the first point in housing. Increase the availability and quality of homes to meet local needs, including social housing.
Is that within our remit?
Sorry, you forgive me, I don't want to have an argument with anyone, but if we look at one particular aspect of housing provision, what about low-cost home opportunities for first-time buyers? What about homes that are suitably adapted for people with disabilities? We could catalogue a whole range of things which we hold dear and we think are important. So that is why we're doing a collective statement that these will be considered in the housing strategy to meet our local needs.
Councillor Christie, you wanted to comment now?
Yeah, thank you. Got no argument with the plan as it stands. I want to go back to what our speakers said earlier. They all referred to the strategic plan and they all referred to levelling up. Now, we had Geoffrey Cox came along and talked to Bideford Town Council, and I'm afraid it was a very good presentation, as you would expect from a barrister. Unfortunately, it seemed to be completely wrong. Everything he said, it raised a lot of ideas and hopes that don't seem to match the metrics. Since he's spoken, we've had these metrics, which don't seem to be what he was talking about. But what I want to ask is, I see that the Levelling Up plan is going live in March 2024, according to our agenda tonight. At what point do councillors have their input into this levelling up ideas? Because we were told, Geoffrey said, oh, you've got to have your plans in by March. You know, it's got to be all costed and everything. And we thought, what? We'll, all right, we'll try that. But now I read, not going to happen. And I've talked to Chris Fuller, and apparently it's not going to all happen in one big bang anyway. It's going to be spaced out over quite a long time. But when do councillors have their input into the levelling up ideas, which obviously feed into the strategic plan?
Yeah, I guess that's why it's in the reports. There's in the covering reports, levelling up is referred to as part of the covering report, which feeds through many or all of your themes. So it could be one or many. So the first part is getting your strategic vision for the district. So we know the high level themes. So below that, there'll be a range of projects. So we'll be working with civil servants to develop the vision for the area. This will form part of that, understanding the needs of the area. So all the data that sits behind all the metrics that have been identified for Torridge as being a levelling up partnership area. And as we go through that process, we will then gain to understand what might be available through the partnership. So then we'll be able to bring projects, aspirations, policies to you for consideration as part of that planning process. So there's no specific steps or details as such. It's a new policy and it's one that's being developed alongside and working with us.
Sorry, can I just come back on that? You actually said, Steve, that you'll come back to us with ideas, and all I asked about is when does councillors have their input?
That's what I'm trying to say. We, like the strategic plan, we'll be working with you as councillors to develop those ideas, and this is part of that process.
Just come in there and just say, at the moment, we don't honestly know whether we're going to get £1 or 20 million, or what the criteria is going to be. And that's why Steve's already had an initial meeting with I can't say a junior member of the council, but the government, but has had a meeting with a civil servant. The aim of us meeting with the minister, and it was going to be Deanne Davidson, but it won't know, it's going to be Jacob Young, is to find out within the strategy we're trying to get underway, and I brought it forward a month. I think we had some nervousness about doing it because I wanted to get on with it. I didn't want us to be running into next year and still flapping about. We wanted to get the consultation out of the way and some idea where we were going at Christmas. But the point is, until we really know what this is aimed at, we're not sure. We've got ideas, and some of them are fairly obvious, but until we actually know what the minister is looking for, and we all know, you know, ministers will change on a whim. So it's very difficult, but we won't be deciding where we go. We will be putting some of the ideas forward that the minister agrees are within the matrix of what they've offered us. It's no good us going to him with loads of ideas from the council and from members, and the minister saying, that doesn't fit anything, go away and come back when you've got some idea what you're talking about. We have got to get and build a pattern of how we see Torwich going forward. And this isn't in isolation. This is a strategic plan to do with the growth of Torwich. We've got the local plan going on, which we're looking at how we deal with housing and all the planning issues. We've got a housing task force that is looking at for Devon, which is looking at the types of housing, including community housing and social housing and all that. And we've also got the Devon Futures, which is looking at skills and education. So we've got all that going on. What we need to know from the minister is where the focus is, what does actually qualify us for this money? And then we can come sit all round and decide, is that what we want? Is that where we're going? But we just seem to be wanting to put the cart before the horse and come up with ideas of what we want with no idea whether the government's going to accept them ideas. And the more you do that, the more ridiculous we will look and the less likely we are to get that money. It's got to be what the government's aim is against what our aim is. And what we know our aim is to lift the economy, lift education, improve housing, all of that. And that's what all of us want. That's certainly why I'm here, is to improve the area and to give our communities a much better chance, particularly our young people. You know, the old idea, they go away, they get educated, they find good jobs and come back. No, we want a strategy that delivers everything, that so our young people can stay here, they can have good jobs, and we can actually promote the economy. You know, don't forget why we're getting that money is because we're a deprived area. So we won't spend hours debating on why we're a deprived area. We're going to start looking at what we can do to get over that situation and go forward. So I think, you know, let's not deal with detail. Let's get the strategic plan underway. As Steve said, there will be loads of meetings, although we're a little bit unsure until we talk to the minister about that end of March date and how it will fit in, because they won't be dealing with every council at the same time. But we're hoping, because we're been classified as deprived, that we will get a fairly early bite at it. And the same applies with devolution. You know, it's everybody wants a wish list. We can't deliver a wish list. And if we go with a wish list, we won't get anything. We have to go with a strategy of how we're going to improve this area. That's what all our aims should be. So put your effort into consultation, and then when we move on to doing discussions about what we're looking at, put your effort into that. Don't start getting distracted by individual small detail.
Okay, councillor Harding,
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'd just like to second the motion. I think it's a good foundation for us to get moving. I think, we need to start moving on this. So I second the motion and it'll go through.
thank you. Thank you, councillor Harding. So, the recommendation is, not the draft, it's a draft strategic plan, 20, yeah, I'll come to you in a second.
Proposal is being seconded, Chair.
No, your proposal wasn't seconded, I don't believe, was it? Yeah.
Point of order, I second.
I didn't realise you'd second it. I thought yours was a separate question.
I did second it and then raised the second issue.
There are two proposals, Chair, which I put forward in Councillor Craig. My second.
Yeah.
Councillor Craig proposed adding social housing. If he wants to put it in the bit where it says development.
Councillor Craig is, who seconded Councillor Craig?
I was just going to say I'll second it. If he-
All right, seconded it now, then. You didn't earlier.
Sorry, I'm just trying, if Councillor Craig is willing to change his proposal to put including social housing after the development and implement a housing strategy there, and I
Yeah.
second it.
I'm willing to make that.
So there's two proposals, Chair.
Which ones we?
Clarify, I've got the one proposal from you, councillor Hames, which was substitute achieve instead of promote, and councillor Craigie then seconded that. But what I wasn't clear on with that proposal was if you were then proposing the whole plan as it is with that amendment. And then councillor Craigie then came forward with a different proposal, which was to include social housing.
Yeah, he's just said he'll agree to underdevelop and implement a housing strategy.
Okay, councillor Haynes first then. Okay, well, councillor Haynes' amendment has been proposed and seconded. So we'll have a show of hands in support of councillor Haynes' amendment. And against? Results.
Let's just check abstentions, please. Chair.
Oh, yeah, abstentions, sorry.
No, that's 17 for and 12 against.
Okay, so councillor Haynes' amendment is carried. Going on then to councillor Craigie's amendment, which was seconded by councillor Haynes. Show of hands in support of that one.
Chair, before we do that, can we just confirm what the vote?
Sorry, I thought that councillor Craigie's amendment was in with councillor Hames's.
Two separate ones.
I thought then they amended it. Sorry, I thought you then amended to include the social
Did you?
housing.
Under Peter Haynes' guidance, I changed to put including social housing in the implement a housing strategy that provides creative solutions that meet the housing needs, including social housing.
So that's separate from
Yeah.
councillor Haynes'
Yes,
motion. Right, so
yes,
it's a
and I
separate.
request a recorded vote, please.
Right, can I have a show of hands then, councillor Craigie wants to report a vote, have a show of hands in support of that, please. That's it, then. Okay, so a recorded vote that will be then.
Okay, councillor Andrews. Abstain. Councillor Back,
Abstain.
councillor Chris Bright. Councillor Bushby,
Against?
councillor Christie,
Or?
councillor Cottle Hunkin. Councillor Craigie,
Or
councillor Dart. Yeah. Councillor Elliott.
Yeah.
Councillor Gibson,
against.
councillor Gubb. For. Councillor Hackett,
Against.
councillor Haynes,
Or.
councillor Harding,
Against.
councillor Hawkins,
Or.
councillor Heppel,
Against.
councillor Hicks,
Against.
Councillor Hodgson,
Against.
councillor Inch,
Against.
councillor James,
Against.
councillor Johns,
Against.
councillor Leather,
Against.
councillor Lavelle, councillor Locke,
Against.
councillor Pennington,
For.
councillor Piper,
Abstain.
councillor Smith,
Abstain.
councillor Wheatley,
Abstain.
councillor Whitaker. Against.
That's 8 for, 15 against and 6 abstentions, Chair.
Thank you, Tom. So amendment is clearly lost. So now we've got to come on to. Councillor.
Can I just, as we now can't, we have approved councillor Haynes's amendment. Surely, by just simply changing one word, there are implications in changing that one word and the actual meaning of what it means to achieve carbon.
Sure, point of order, we voted on this.
Oh, yeah.
A draft.
This proposal.
Okay.
There are implications from just changing one word on the rest of the strategy, particularly the ones that refer to the financial implications and the spending.
I agree, councillor Dodd, but we just voted on that, so we can't change it now, can we?
No, we haven't. We have not voted.
We have.
To, can I just finish?
We've just voted on that amendment.
We have voted on that amendment, you're correct. However, we have not voted to take this strategy with that amendment out of consultation.
Right.
So it needs to be borne in mind that there is a bigger implication than just simply changing one word on this entire strategy.
Please do, Peter.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but councillor Dart, you don't seem to realise the implication of what you're saying.
I do.
If we don't vote for this because you don't like that amendment, we've had this extraordinary meeting in order to get this strategy fit with the timetable. This will throw it back another 6 weeks just for one word. And really and truly, councillor Haynes put his finger on it when he said we have declared a climate emergency. Now, some people may think, oh, we've declared it, tick, that's all right, we've done that. But we actually have to show we're doing that. And that's why it's a very simple amendment. I couldn't see any problem with it myself.
Let me bring the chief executive in, please.
Okay, I don't wish to elongate the debate, but that word achieve, you could achieve a 1% reduction. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll achieve carbon reduction to 0.
Right.
So I don't know if that helps, councillor Dart.
Can I just clarify that it's not that I don't like the amendment. I think there is a bigger picture here, and if you only wish to achieve a 1% reduction, then quite frankly, that whole proposition would not worth the time and effort we just put to it. So what exactly are you hoping to gain from changing that word? And if you're not going to then amend the rest of the financial implications to achieve that, then it makes a mockery of what you've just voted on. And if it's taken you this long to put that together, then you really should have thought about this before it came together.
I'd just like to say that I think the amendment proposed is a continuation of what I've seen as an excellent process. We're at a strategic level. You've been made aware that this will feed into business plans, which I think picks up on councillor Dart's point that things have implications. But I'd also point out that the council in the priorities align the council's activities to meet the carbon neutral operation target of 2030. This is a plan for 5 years, which takes us scarily to 2028. If we're merely promoting at this stage, we actually do need to be achieving. So I think it has absolute logic. And I think we have to remember that
we are not talking operation, yeah, we are talking strategic, which I will admit, I struggle sometimes to get my head around that, to think in a strategic way. But because of the process we've gone through, I feel I've been able to think strategically. The people I've sat down with have been thinking strategically, members and officers. And I think we need to get on and go forward with what we've all been discussing.
Thank you. Okay, well, we've given us a. Sorry.
I'll just point out, if it helps councillor Dart, on page 6 of your agenda tonight, implications. And it says there, financial implications, there are no specific financial implications at this time.
Right, okay, it's been proposed and seconded that we accept this draft, I emphasize the word draft, strategic plan 23 to 28, that it's published for consultation. It's proposed by councillor James, seconded by councillor Harding. Show of hands, all in support, please.
As amended.
As amended. Against? On abstentions?
27 for, 1 against and 1 abstention.
Thank you, I'm clearly carried. Thank you. Okay, moving over to item 7, revenues and benefits document, imaging process. Upgrade and conversion, pages 11 to 30, your agenda, to receive the report of Head of Legal and Governance. Stacey, thank you.
Chair, so hopefully this will be a little less contentious.
Hopefully.
So this has already been to CNR and approved by CNR, but effectively, all documents that come into the Revs and Bens team are scanned in and uploaded to the customer file. So historically, we would have paper files, all correspondence was put on there. And obviously, through the years, we've upgraded to an online system. And the benefit of that is when a customer telephones, the team are immediately able to tap into their files and all the associated documentation. The system that they currently use is no longer going to be supported. So we've got to upgrade for security reasons. And to make us safe through data protection, GDPR, all of that. The reason it's at full council tonight is because of the upfront costs, which are more, so it's a capital expenditure. But as you'll see from the report, the ongoing maintenance charges are actually significantly less for us. So currently with the current system, we spend 37,000 or nearly £38,000 per annum. The annual maintenance license fee for the new system will be 6,600. But there is the one-off implementation charge, which is a capital bid of 35,000, and the one-off license charge of 33,000, which is why it's before you tonight to approve or not approve that proposal, as the case may be. But happy to take any questions.
Seems relatively straightforward to me. We're going to save some money. Any questions before we go to the vote? You're proposing that? Yeah. I'll second it from the chair. All in favour, please show. Unanimous, thank you. Get you to do more reports, also. Oh, that brings us to the end of the meeting. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your participation.